Play ABBA. Oh my.
Are we good to go?
1 second. We're checking if the live stream's working or not.
Okay.
Yep.
It's working?
Daniel, it's working.
All right, it is 6 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. This is the Horace Planning and Zoning meeting for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. We have 5 out of the 5 commissioners present, so we have a quorum. Are there any changes or additions to the regular agenda?
No changes.
All right, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
All motion to approve the agenda.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the October 28th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes. Has everyone had the opportunity to review those? They are attached to our packet. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
I'll move approval of the October 28th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the land use ordinance for the Horace Corridor Public Protected Overlay District. Nathaniel.
All right. This has been revised in line with the comments from last meeting. This will be the third time y'all have seen a version of this. This should be pretty close to the original. There was one correction that was already pointed out to me about the chart in section 2. The maximum heights needs to be corrected. I've got a note of that. I will turn it over to you all for conversation, questions.
Okay, and we left the public hearing open, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the public hearing is still open. Ron had went through and highlighted all the differences. I think did you want to say anything about that?
I'm not sure since the, this is annotated differently. Well, I guess not. I can do that if you want.
Sure, yeah.
It should take just a second. This is for amending the corridor protection overlay. On page, and what I've done is I've just taken the significant pages and the change on that page, if that's all right. And so on page 1, it applies the CPOD to a 500-foot total, 250-foot from the center of Conroe, or of the overlay area, and it reduces glazing requirements on glazing that is towards the CPOD. On page 2, it allows specialty siding and panels. It defines landscaping along the CPOD, and parking areas are allowed to the side or behind the CPOD. On page 5, the height maximum is on the CPOD is set at 2 stories or 35 feet, and 35 feet. And then the next on page 6, 8, 10, and 12, it takes the urban residential height, the 1776, Old Town and mixed use, and sets it at 3 stories and 45 feet. And it says that this condition, you have a conditional use permit if you want to vary from that. And it also, on pages 7, 9, 11, and 13, it sets reduces the amount of glazing necessary. And page 13, the facade articulation is down to 75 feet from 100 feet. And on page 14, the roof without any changes from, without any changes in the roof, changes from 100 feet to 75 feet. And that's my understanding of the changes.
He was on it. And it also doesn't allow cupolas and weather vanes to break up the roof.
Right.
That was one of the major changes as well. Were there any other changes that anyone else caught? Any other questions, comments?
Just to clarify, the action for you tonight would be to either recommend or either ask for changes if you see fit to council.
The public hearing is still open. Is there any public comments? Any other comments from the public? If you could just try to keep it short, that'd be appreciated. Otherwise, I'll have to get the timer out. Naomi's got the timer ready over there. That's what she told me.
Lights on.
Yep.
For the record, my name is Lonnie Wong. I'm a resident of Horace, and I'm here to talk about this item as it pertains to 1776. I just want some clarity here. I'm a little confused on this. The way it's written on the overlay is from the center line of 17, 250 feet in, right?
Correct.
Which, based on where the road is now, that center line will probably still be there, but the road, I would think, is gonna be widened, so that 250 feet, the area from 17 to that first building is gonna be diminished, I would think, down the road.
I think we already have
Did you discuss that already?
setbacks along 17, right?
The
From the
right-of-way is
center.
already quite wide
Yeah,
along
the corridor
17
is
in
already quite wide.
anticipation of future widening. I can show you on a
It's
map.
100 feet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first 100 feet would be road.
And does that also, and forgive me, I didn't see this final version, does that also work from the roads that are existing in the houses there? How far back are they from there as far as height limits go?
So this only includes, is there a map of which corridors this includes? It doesn't include
Yeah.
all corridors, there's just certain ones that the overlay applies to.
Okay, okay.
Yep,
1 second, sorry.
we weren't prepared for all of your questions.
So as for right
I
now,
wasn't either.
Madam Chair, it's County Road 17, 64th Avenue South, east of County Road 17, 76th Avenue South, east of County Road 17, Wall Avenue, east of County Road 17, or County Road 14. And then the council, city council can determine whether there's any additional critical community corridors or entryways.
I don't know if that map's legible for you or not. I'd be
So to
happy to
answer your
email.
Well-
question, all of County Road 17 is in that 500 foot. So it'd be 250 foot off the center line of all of County Road 17 coming down.
I think, go ahead.
But it wouldn't include the east side of like 64th and 70.
Where it's already,
Or the west,
West.
sorry.
West, right.
is-
That's an error on this map.
So the majority of people here are concerned on the 1776 to the west of 17. Would this overlay allow then for buildings over 2 stories in that little area that's? on the
Well, it
west
would
side?
make it challenging with their transitional requirements between zoning districts.
Right, so-
Transitional and those areas are already zoned for residential, and so there's already restrictions on what uses are permitted within those zoning districts. And so there would be height restrictions within those zoning districts that already exist. So there would have to be a rezone, and that would have to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council.
So at that point, then you're still looking at, this isn't changing coming from our neighborhoods out, the transition. So that was my concern. A lot of people's concern.
Yeah, it changes it a little bit, but yeah.
Okay, but still stays.
Yeah,
kind of
so
like-
we would still, let's say somebody came in and wanted to rezone that again, and there was another proposal on the table. We still have the authority as Planning and Zoning Commission, if it doesn't fit with the type of developments that's there, and there's no conformity to the existing development, we can vote that down. Now, if there is a chance that there's a development property that comes in and it's a suitable fit, or we feel it's a suitable fit, then it could be. So it's all based on the rezone at that point for that piece of property.
Okay, yeah,
So-
I guess I come in with the idea that we don't want to run into that problem again where somebody's thinking they can develop it and they get turned down.
Yeah, it's very possible that could happen again.
Okay. That kind of clarifies some of that.
But what it doesn't allow is just somebody go, as soon as it's approved, somebody just goes measure off 125 feet and then builds a 50-story building. I mean, you can't do that, so.
Okay.
so.
That's what this is covering.
This is covering, yeah, the 125 on each side of the road. So that,
250, excuse me.
250.
yeah, well, 250 total, but 125 each way,
No,
right?
250.
Oh, I'm
500
sorry,
total.
I'm sorry, you're right, yeah, you're right.
Your
So
math is
250,
off.
Yeah,
250
that's-
each way.
That's why I added in that 500 feet for clarification.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
it more or less gets rid of the really tall buildings being right along County Road 17 and get rid of that corridor effect, trying to keep the building heights down in those areas. And then if there's room where they can transition in certain areas, there's possibility that there could be 3-story buildings outside of that. But again, the area that you're concerned about is still zoned ag. It still has to be rezoned, still has to go through a rezoning process.
Okay. And I am concerned
Okay.
about the east side too, on the whole
Yep.
aesthetics of coming into Horace.
Yep.
I think you guys know that, so.
Was that all you had?
What's that?
Was that all you had?
I just had some questions for clarification on that, yeah.
Great.
Want to make sure we understand what this all means.
Right. So a lot of this was taken from that workshop that everybody participated in. There was, on a lot of the tables, there was thoughts that 3-story buildings in certain areas would work. And there's some areas that they don't feel is gonna work. So that's all gonna have to be handled in the rezoning process for some of those areas. The other areas are gonna have to handled in landscaping requirements, things like that we can actually help soften the view of some of that. So there's other things that are actually in play that work with this.
Okay. Yeah, and that's why I was at those workshops and I kind of got the feeling the higher buildings were going to be in this Lakeview area and downtown and industrial area, not so much up as you enter town. So that's where the concerns come from. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Last call. Closing the public hearing. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments?
The only comment I have is, I also have some of those concerns that I don't want County Road 17 corridor to turn into a corridor that, again, and I know it has to do with us with planning and zoning, going through plan review and stuff, but I don't want it to turn into where it's commercial buildings, and then outside of that, that whole rest of that run is all 3-story apartments.
Right.
Because it changes the aesthetic of what we're coming into Horace. There is gonna be a need for some of it, there is gonna be some areas that will work, and those are the things that we're gonna have to make those hard decisions on.
But I do think this helps us make those decisions.
Yes.
And we do have some of our other ordinances and those 13 criteria to fall back on as well, so I think we're in a better place. I think we're in a better place than we were before. Other questions or comments? look for a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the Horace Corridor Protective Overlay District as presented to the committee for a recommendation to the city council.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right. The next item on our agenda is Beyond Shelter First Edition. It's a rezone and a plat. This was tabled at our last meeting. Before we get started with this, I'm just trying to find my pages here. I just want to say that this is a plat and a rezone. We're looking at rezoning the property from mixed use to urban. The potential use of this property has nothing to do with the rezone application, so we're just looking at changing it from mixed use to urban. So any comments about potential uses there are kind of irrelevant. Both rezoning districts do allow for apartment-type buildings. The main differences between the two districts are density and the setbacks. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So with that, the public hearing is still open. Do we want to do them separate or together?
You opened them together
Yeah.
at your last meeting, so.
So both items are still open. The applicant had asked us to table it because there was some maximum and minimum setbacks with urban. And so if you wanted to come up and say anything about that, maybe to get us started, that would help.
Okay, so, sorry, back quick. So currently, it's tabled is how it is right now? Or will it?
Correct. We tabled the decision from the last meeting. Yep, so we haven't voted on it.
Yep, so, yeah, I think you hit it spot on, because there were some questions on the setbacks and why we wanted urban residential. It is because of the density. I forgot to see, Chris Mack, with Christensen Company. We are, selling the property, and we will not be doing the development, but, part of our job is to make sure that the use can be allowed for what's being developed. And just wanted to designate a comment, and I agree with it. We're concerned about having the County 17 full of apartments. We don't have any intention on doing that. So this is a map, and I don't know if you've seen it. The orange would be potential multifamily. And this was actually done when we first created, when we first started developing Southdale. The two orange areas are the areas that always our intention to have multifamily. So as you can see, out of the 325 acre development that we did in Southdale, there's a 10-acre piece, which will actually be 6 acres of multifamily. And then this plat changed a little bit, but that area to the north is roughly about another 10 acres. And that's kind of the intent. And we're still kind of following that same trend. That 11 acre might even get smaller, that little strip on the north. But so we're following roughly what we had originally, when we submitted this back in 2019 for kind of our master plan for the development. So just the whole way, all the way, to 64. It'll be a small area, and then the rest will be commercial or, office, whatever. Retail, stuff like that, and a few restaurants, coffee shop, stuff like that, so. I guess any other questions from the last?
And the larger of the two areas, that's separated into block 1 and 2? And you're asking for the
Yeah,
reason?
area along County 17, yep, and then that's what this. map-
Right, yeah.
Yep, and what's shown.
And that's what you're requesting, is for one side to stay multifamily or high density?
The orange area would be urban residential.
Urban,
and
yeah.
The red area would be commercial.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions for Chris?
Yeah, so you would, or in the email I got, it said that the 42 units wasn't enough, and that's why the change to mixed-use to urban was required.
So, yeah,
What is enough?
so, with this, I think we're gonna be around 19 or 20, units per, acre on this development. This is what's planned.
And currently mixed use was what, Nathaniel? We just figured this out.
It pencils to around 7 as written. Prior similar zoning districts were at 14 under an older edition of the land use code. The planned unit development was developed at 20.
Yeah, I did notice in the comprehensive plan that it said the urban was meant to be between, I believe, like 7 and 14 per acre. That's not the ordinances per se, but at least that was the one place I found some definition about what the urban zoning was intended for.
And what did we find for urban? What was the units per acre?
So just to clarify, the urban residential that's being requested postdates the comprehensive plan. So discussion of the idea of urban in the comp plan is not the same as the zoning district. The urban residential has a minimum lot size of 1,600 square feet per unit, and I didn't write down that.
Ends up being about 27.
That sounds right to me.
We did the math and we didn't write it down.
I'm sorry.
159,
Yeah.
159 units is the max in
The
area you have.
the built-in fact units per acre always winds up less than the hypothetical maximum.
And there is an intent, no intention, you couldn't do it on that, with the 45-foot height. Based on the footprint, so. To get that dance.
Any other questions for Chris?
I guess the setback, the concern last time is that you would be forced to build your buildings right next to the road,
Yeah.
which I'm a big fan of,
You
so.
can make I mean, still working that out, but adjustments can be made, to make that work, since the other options, in the current ordinance, would be Old Town, that allow density, the Old Town, and then, 1776. They're the same, it's 1,600 square feet per dwelling, that's how it reads. But those really wouldn't fit, that would be considered spot zoning, where, I think when this, urban residential was created, it was kind of created for this exact scenario. At least by talking to Jace in the past week or so, they asked him, what was, I know there was talk about getting rid of it, and I said, well, there wouldn't be any other zoning districts that you could do that, or, do this type of a building, I guess. Besides urban residential, unless you did spot zoning where you put Old Town invest and not really make sense.
Well, this is kind of spot zoning if we change it to urban, because we don't have any urban around there, and we won't, because the rest of it
Yeah,
is
but-
commercial or residential. So if you're spot zoning urban, I could spot zone 1776, which is this one little piece
But
is
it-
going to be
But
that.
there'll be additional, probably urban to the north too, so in the area, we're using the urban as a transition from commercial to, the compact residential. And that's typically, you guys can have these mixed, or the city of Horace has these mixed zoning districts, instead of like specific, like an MR3 or an MR2, where it's more, you have more options, with the zoning district, so, I guess I don't see that being, a spot zone because it's, it would likely be used again if you follow the map, here that I provided, I guess, which was always kind of slated for, multi-family residential. And at a time when this was zoned, we actually zoned it mixed use, and there wasn't a maximum, or there was no, density on it. It was kind of not, if you look at the old mixed use, zoning district, there wasn't a 1,600 square feet per dwelling or anything like that. It's kind of open-ended.
I guess the last time we talked about urban, we were kind of using it as a transitional between industrial and residential at our last comprehensive plan meeting, and on our maps, that's what we used it for, was
It's all
only,
over the place on the maps, I mean, like that.
it was only,
2045, it had it like up north where he's mentioning, and then another one, it was gone, then another one,
on
it was
the
somewhere
most
else. Yeah,
current
another one, it was these
future
apartments
land use
for
map though,
urban.
that we just changed, we just put it on a little piece way down on County Road 14 by the industrial park, butting up against Fargo. That was the only place we left it, and that's the most
Okay.
current map, and that's not the one that's on the website. Because I looked today, so we are out of date on our website.
We'll get that updated.
Thanks. Thanks for fixing my email too, so now people can send me love or hate mail. I accept both. Do you have the most current one?
I have the one on the website. I'll look in the files for the
Okay.
updated. One thing I would point out is that, so there is an urban land use category in the comp plan, and that's what's being reflected on the future land use map. There are also mixed use and community-focused land use categories in the comp plan. Neither of those correspond to zoning districts exactly. If I can pull up this chart, this of course is under the old land use ordinance, showing comparable districts. So the urban category with the old land use ordinance could be R3 through R6. R5 was the closest we had at the time to urban residential. There's still plenty of differences, but that's the most comparable. It allowed up to 14 units an acre. It did not have the minimum setback concept. That was driven specifically by the Old Town concept and trying to create a more urban streetscape. The mixed-use and community-focused areas are those which are shown on the edition of the land use map that I have been looking at, and I will apologize if that is out of date, but on this site in particular, if I can get to it. And again, those are both showing R5 as compatible with, so it's showing mixed use roughly here's the parcel we're talking about. Community focus is across 17. If I may, I would disagree with the characterization of this as a spot zoning. A spot zoning has to do with treating a piece of property in a way that's inconsistent with the future plan and with surrounding development patterns. From what I've found, I would argue that multifamily on this site is consistent with the future land use map, again pointing back to the compatible zoning district chart. And I'm not seeing evidence that it is being treated differently than surrounding areas which haven't been developed yet.
Would you agree that that there is, I'm looking at the comprehensive plan, and I don't see any of these saying more than 14 units an acre. So,
I do agree with that. There isn't specifically something in the comp plan that says there needs to be a zoning district greater than that. Evidently, at some point between the comp plan and when the revised land use ordinance was developed, the idea for this more dense district came from somewhere. I don't have the history on that. And not that it is either here nor there, but I will note that the urban residential district that's being requested also does allow single-family units, and even single-family detached, at very high densities. So obviously that's not who is bringing this case, but that would be a by right land use in this district still. It's not exclusively a multifamily use district.
I'm wondering if it was meant for like, in an area on average, it'd be still under 14. And so there's maybe some spots where you'd have really high density, but they'd be balanced out by some low density. I don't know. So I don't know. I'm just looking at that, and if the comprehensive plan is a guiding document, it seems like but it's not saying more than 14 units an acre.
I guess maybe was a 14 units per acre because the comp plan was done with our old code. Is that something, Brenton? Is that kind of how that was derivative?
That was the highest that was available under the old code. Yeah.
That was the highest, so.
Yeah, at least that I've found.
So I guess, is that how that seemed to be on the comp plan? I don't know, but.
I mean, the comp plan isn't
Entirely
trying to
possible.
push for more. I mean, anybody's push for more.
This area is discussed in the 1776. It does call for a minimum of two-story buildings, which implies they'd like more. I think it's a debatable point. It's not explicitly calling for more, though. I agree.
So, was it the second edition, where we increased you to a minimum of 45 feet for frontage? Was it 45 feet that we increased it to? He was at, what, 40? And then we increased it to 40?
For the buffer, you mean?
No, for the frontage, and then setbacks. We also changed the setbacks to have increased setbacks. Was it in Cub Creek second edition, or, I'm trying to think of.
We didn't do Cub Creek second.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Cub Creek, but,
Which building are you talking about?
it was, I think it was one of Chris's developments where they had presented us with, I just thought of this. They had presented us with a plan, and it had like 40-foot frontages. And we increased that to, was it 45 or 47?
I think maybe the changes had to be an average of 45.
Yeah, I think that was when Southdale Farms, fifth edition.
Southdale Farms, that's what, yeah.
That's
Yep.
the lot size.
Was done, and that was.
Oh, that was
done at
residential.
about the same time that the new ordinance was getting approved.
Okay,
So we were under the, we did the application under the old ordinance. but
the
we
first
kind
one,
of-
yeah.
Yeah, the first or the old ordinance, but we kind of modified it, so it was halfway in between the two.
Okay,
So you ended up with the, wider, lots, and I don't think we, hit it exactly, but we were very close to what the current, CR zoning is. It was previously the R6. So,
and so the trend was away from, super compact and having a little bit more breathing space, and, not these rows of houses with, 5 inches between each. That's an exaggeration, obviously, without, 5 inches between each house. So, So I think the trend has been to have less density rather than more density. So I think if we go from, you know, you had said 14, and now we're looking at 20. I mean, I don't know if that's going really with the trend of what the city has been trending towards. I think we're finding that the super high density, maybe we see it in Fargo, maybe we see it wherever, see it here. I know Lonnie's brought up at the table that if you show all the new development versus the old development, it's all super high density, whereas all the old development is, you know, I mean, obviously, we're not asking for all 1 acre lots, but I guess my question is, why are we going from 14 to 20? I mean, it just doesn't.
I guess part of it too, when this was zoned, it is zoned, and when we zoned it, there was no cap on it.
Okay.
It was 0. So I guess our company and we do financial decisions and we plan for the future. Now, if that was the case, we would have developed all of this stuff, all this frontage, completely different. It wouldn't look like it does now, but we were told, this is what we did, and this is why we did it under mixed use. Well, now, the rules have changed, and we weren't ready for it, obviously, because we platted for what we were dealing with at the time, and that wasn't a concern.
When was that time? 2019?
Well, start of 2019 is when we did the first subdivision. We did this, so this lot was developed, the 10 acre lot was developed in, it went through the fall of 2020, and the infrastructure was put in the summer of 21. And then that's when the mixed use zoning district was created, and the old district was the winter of 2020.
Okay, I thought someone said that the old ordinance is only allowed up to 14 an acre, but you're saying there was no cap?
If you only got a copy of it. I couldn't find one.
Lucas, do you know?
Here's the mixed use district.
Was that in the 2007 ordinance or which?
What's that?
Okay.
It would have been 2007, but there were numerous changes along the way. And I don't know that the updated one was ever on the website.
So that was the mixed use district that was created shortly after the comp plan was, approved. So was that approved in 2019? Comp plan? Yeah.
No, it was later than that.
2020? And I didn't see, any.
So is that, who made the comment earlier that the old ordinance is only allowed 14 units an acre?
So
What was that based on?
I was looking at the copy of the 2007 ordinance that I have, that I found. Looking through the districts, which actually the edition I had did not have an MX district created in it. So I didn't realize we had created one prior to the 2024 land use code update. So my apologies on that.
It probably would have been added in 2022 or 23.
Okay, apparently
It was added right before we did the whole land use
okay.
changes.
I'll,
And like I said, it was never included on the one in the website. I might have it at home.
okay.
I'd have to
I'm
dig.
sure there's one somewhere, but the edition of the 2007 ordinance that I was working from didn't have that. So.
And what did it say? Was it like just a blanket statement of
The,
14 per acre?
no, there was not a mixed-use district in the edition that I was looking at. The R5 was the closest that I could find, and the R5 had a maximum of 14.
Okay.
Mixed use was probably added in 22 or 23, right before we did the whole ordinance overhaul.
I think it was actually even sooner because the planner at the time,
Was it Barrett?
yeah, Barrett, created the mixed use district and then encouraged us to use it on that property.
I think this has even changed since then.
It makes you,
I-
it would match kind of time like this talking about.
I guess I'm not comfortable moving ahead with this conversation until we get this figured out and we have the changes and the history of it. I mean, I think we should just table this again. I hate to do that, but I'm not comfortable having this conversation without having the right ordinance code. We need to see what those changes are and what it was.
Well, I guess what are you
I
looking
mean,
for? Because we wouldn't be
well,
applying.
he presented us with this and
We wouldn't be
then
applying the last.
he's saying that when this was
outdated.
zone mixed use, he went by this. And so now we've changed the density. But I even think there was changes since then, and Nathaniel doesn't have this in his code, so we have some miscommunication somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I think Lucas, you actually sent it to me, February like 21 or something. With the current, or the code that was being used prior to the new ordinance in 2024.
So my question is, why are we concerned about the 2021 code if this application is now?
Well, he's saying he's changing it from mixed use to urban because of the density changes that we've made. Because this one didn't have any density restrictions in this mixed use code, but now our new one does.
Yeah, I think it was based on Chad's comment of not wanting the density, and I said, well, when we went in for the entitlement for this property, you know, there was no, density. So, because, Mike mentioned 14 units per acre. I said, well, that wasn't the case, because when we got it entitled, this is what we used. So we're kind of running into kind of a mix of.
So I think basically they want to know, because why change it if you don't have to?
Right.
And this was our intention, to do this type of use with that map that I showed you. I mean, this was always the intention, and that's why we did the mixed use back in 2021, in 2020.
Well, was it density or was it the setbacks where that was the issue the last time we were here? Was it a
It was
set, I thought it was a
ultimately the-
setback, which is why they wanted to go from mixed use to urban, so that they could put more in. It was a setback issue, I don't think it was a,
After looking more into what the issue was, it ultimately was the density, is why I did it.
There's no thing on the bottom to where it's from.
It has an ordinance date on here,
But
though.
it's cool.
I don't think we even really got to that part of the conversation, because we were kind of like starting to
Yeah, I
talk
think
about
there
the
was
differences,
confusion.
and then the setbacks was the first thing that kind of was like, whoa, that's out of line. That, I don't think we necessarily finished the conversation. That would have ended up in density next, most likely.
Because if urban residential was 25 foot, we'd be fine with that, but it's not, it's 15 in that. Now, if you'd allow the maximum to be larger, then we'd be fine with that, but, we're stuck with what is available.
In 1776, I don't have these all memorized, but it seems like the setbacks were maybe more in line with what we were thinking when I glanced at it. And it does have the same density. But then there's a concern about that being a spot zone, because it's not perfectly in the area. I mean, it's right next to it.
Get them out on the intersection, but.
But yeah, going back to the density thing, I think you had made a claim that you were planning, what I heard was that you were planning based on no limit on density. That's what I thought I heard. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, when we zoned it and entitled that property, this is what we were following. And this is what we were doing our business plans off of, I guess.
And so up until that mixed use thing just restating things a bit. So there's a 14 unit per acre cap. At some point, mixed use was introduced, and it didn't have any, the claim is that there's no density requirements when that got added. Since then, we changed things to add density and things.
One, sorry, point,
Let's go
I
for
may
it.
have added confusion. So, to my knowledge, this property was never zoned R5.
Mhm.
That's just the closest parallel I could find in my apparently outdated, I mean, it's all outdated, but older edition of the 2007 ordinance, which has been superseded by the new land use code.
Mhm.
I'm not aware of your property ever being zoned R5. Is that to the best of your knowledge?
Like I said.
I think it was zoned ag prior to being zoned MX.
That's not what I was saying. I guess that any residential zoning until this mixed use got added at some mysterious time, the max was 14 units an acre.
To the best of my knowledge,
So
yes.
then a housing-based district, mixed use, came about, but there's a question on if there's any density requirements for it. And I'm just kind of thinking, like, if, at the time that someone would have actually done something, would someone have used R5 as the basis for that density limit or not? You know, I mean, it's speculation, but
Well, I think if I'm remembering right,
being
there,
unlimited is also weird.
we didn't have an avenue for apartment buildings, is that correct? R5 kind of was our avenue, but it didn't really work, is
We
that
had
correct?
mixed use, and then we had R5. R5 came like a year or two later,
After mixed use? Was mixed use our avenue for adding?
because that was towards the end
The
of,
city did not have anything for apartments.
yeah.
Because
didn't
we,
have anything
we only had
for it.
residential zoning when I started on this whole thing.
That was, the R5, I remember, Russ R was pushed R5 to actually have a land use category for that category back then. But that was mixed use, if I remember correctly, was before R5.
Okay.
That was done before then. I'm going through the package just to see if I can find anything for you.
2020-04 is the ordinance number listed on here.
I was here, but I don't remember.
I mean, yeah, the land use, I'll go back to the comprehensive plan. I don't know how much that can be relied on, but it does have that max of 14 units an acre. And that was published in 2019, correct? What year was that published?
I think that's correct.
Or is it 2020?
The last workshop was in February of 2020. I know that much from the document itself, but.
I just have a hard time believing that there wasn't a cap on that with Russ.
Right.
That's when it was published.
What was the published date?
June 15th, 2019.
So,
And at that time, when was that parcel zoned to mixed use?
it went from, so it was unplatted ag land, and it was right when we did the original plat on Southdale Farms Third, when that was on mixed use.
And roughly when was that?
It was, the fall / winter, probably this time of year of 2020.
So that document that says 14 units per acre was from 2019,
Which one?
the comprehensive plan.
Okay, yep, and then
And then you rezoned in 2020.
to mixed use.
Right.
So when did the?
And that says 14 units per acre.
Yeah. So, I guess, right now.
So I think we're confused.
What's that?
We're all confused.
So if you're saying that, well, right now, there isn't even a zoning district that would allow 14 units per acre besides, the, 1776 or, Old Town. And then this one, those are the three that allow.
Have you guys found anything else?
And it's at 20, and all three of them are 27.
I think they're looking.
We're still looking.
I'm still,
And I do understand stuff's changed quickly and things like that, it's just, I guess the Chad's, question that he had was, that's what we intended the whole time, that's why we did the rezone. Based on that zone, whether the comp plan showed that, the mixed use is what we were following.
So if it was 14, now we're going to something that's 27, so that's pretty different.
I
I know
guess
you
it
want to settle at
wasn't-
20, but if we change it to urban, then you could actually go up to 27, because that's what the zoning district allows. So I mean, that's something that we need to consider as well.
But technically, it was never at 14. I mean, the comp plan shows it, but it was actually, does it say for mixed use is 14 too?
It's actually.
Or it doesn't really say? And I think that's where the confusion is.
I think it was in there, right?
It says up to 14 for mixed use.
Up to 14
to
units
14.
for mixed use. It's in there.
Okay.
But then, like you also mentioned, the actual zoning actually only allows something less, I guess.
Is that like a
We're doing all the numbers based on the acres you guys
PUD
have
or something?
in this, and
conditional use or PUD?
mixed use,
Take
you'd
the
have
14.
42 units. If you followed the 14 units an acre, it'd be double that to 82. You're asking for 120. The maximum in urban is 160. So that's kind of the spectrum of things here we're talking about.
Okay, the little bit I can find from back in the rezone, it would have been October 27th, 2020, I believe it was. And they referred to density at 14 units per acre. And they were talking about a floor area ratio back then for commercial and residential under mixed use. So they did talk about 14 units per acre, or 14 units per acre. There's reference of it, it's referencing the future land use plan, or map. So that's where they gave that density, is from the future land use map, not the ordinance itself. Is what it looks like. Looking at the staff report from when this property was rezoned to mixed use back in 2020, I believe it was. So.
But
gives you
we
a
did
little-
have a conversation about units per acre at that time. According to the staff notes, it was in there.
In regards to the future land use,
Mhm.
not as much tied, I don't think it was tied into the ordinance, it was tied to the future land use. Yeah,
Correct.
is where that density, was, so not ordinance was. Where now it sounds like ordinance indirectly addresses that density. I
And-
don't recall density in the ordinance, I could be wrong, I don't recall it. In the ordinance itself, it's all back on future.
I think that was
land
one of the changes that we made, was to
Yeah.
add that.
use, to put it into the actual ordinance itself.
So you had more teeth to it.
Yep. So that's where you're getting the 14, I think, from, is that future land use map.
But it seems like if the target was 14, there's one zoning district that allows 7 and another one allows 28. But there's not one that's actually capping it at
I'm just
14.
looking at this app for that rezone,
Yeah.
so I'm not digging into like what the other categories are, I'm just trying to see what the rezone information was. And
Yep.
back then, that was he was pretty thorough on this stuff too, like what he included in the staff report, so.
And is the general consensus that, why is my mic so loud? Wow. That the, sorry. Okay, that the, I'm gonna sing a song then. No, I'm just kidding, no. that the urban is typically seen as more dense than mixed use, correct? I'm just saying that that's the general consensus, if something's zoned urban. So this is from 2019 that was posted online. It says urban density 5 units per acre to 14 units per acre for the 2019 posting. I mean, that's right. I don't know if you've seen that, see that right there. I'm not making it up. I'm just saying that's online at 5 to 14 units per acre. For urban, that's back in 2019. So if that's listed, I don't know how we go to mixed use and then go to unlimited. I just don't, I don't know where the assumption is that if urban is seen as more dense than mixed use, I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble with that, so.
Yeah, and, I guess, so with this mixed use that I handed out, if it is referring, and did you see that, or did you say that it refers to the?
Just briefly, it talks about 14 units through the future land use map.
Packet, it doesn't show that it, caps it at 14. And I guess, I'm not, I mean, I totally know what you're saying on the, urban residential at 14, but then I guess when this whole other book came out in 2024, why didn't it just urban residential 14 at that time instead of 27?
That's a good question.
I mean, that's where there's nothing in between, so, no.
Oh, so I've got mixed use, it says here, mixed use development can either be a development with side-by-side residential and a commercial building, or a development with commercial and residential using the same building. Okay, because of the flexibility provided in this category, site plan review and zoning approval are required. Walkability and internal open space must be addressed, and height limits should be considered. Mixed use future land use category is intended to provide flexibility to allow complementary use within a district. And so complementary use wouldn't just be all 3 level buildings, all the same, they're all doing the same thing. A mixed-use land use pattern generally includes a combination of higher density residential and commercial uses. The specific mix uses to vary based on adjacent uses, locations, and access. Industrial and land uses are not permitted. Sorry. So I because of the.
I guess based on that, I mean, that's essentially what we're doing. It says it can be all in one building, or you can have horizontal. Well, that's what that essentially is. It's commercial.
Correct, still,
Right.
it's already mixed use, so that's where I struggle. Why are we
So-
zoning it, except for density or setbacks?
Well, and that's the issue, that we don't wanna do just, so all that would be allowed in the orange area would be 42 units. And it's not gonna work for what we, master planned on the map I handed out, and, that was never the intention of how that lot was gonna.
So then it also says the density typically up to 14 units per acre. Says that on the 2019, so,
On the comp plan.
yep. And that's Googleable, city of, I mean, it's comprehensive plan? Okay, I'm just saying it's right there, so I'm not trying,
I know.
Okay.
I've read it. I know what it's saying.
Okay.
But, and I guess what I'm saying is, so now we have urban residential that has 27 units per acre, but how did that end up even getting approved, I guess?
We even talked about getting rid of it not too long ago, didn't we?
Right, and the locations that we had it are very specific.
Right. It wasn't a zoning district that we ever intended for this, I guess. If,
And
from
there's
even from our mapping districts, or exercises a couple of months ago.
And there's usually statements about like appropriate density, and that's not a hard number, but.
So,
See, if you do consider that whole area mixed use, like let's say you left it as mixed use, then I'm assuming then that units per acre counts across the whole area at that point. You would still be limited by the CPOD thing for the building heights in the front. It would allow you a higher density, I think, in the back half, but not to
It would still be
the
only-
120. It would be
still be only
80.
7, so it'd be, however, I mean, it still wouldn't be enough for what?
it would get you to 14 units an acre, roughly.
I don't,
I
it
mean,
would still
maybe a
be
little
7
less.
units per acre. If that was all mixed use and there wasn't a split, it would still be 7 units per acre.
No, because you can count the front half, I think, if it was.
you can
the
count
whole
the front
zone.
acreage as that part too.
So that gets you
You
more.
counted as what?
Couldn't you count the whole acreage of the property? If you just
Yeah,
had one
but it
commercial
still ends
building
up
and mixed
being
use in the
7
back?
units per acre.
Right, but you have more acreage, so that would give you more units
You
than
get more
7.
units, but the
Right,
units per acre stays,
right,
I guess, is the point.
but your
It would be
number of
14.
units would increase.
Oh, I get you 7. Yep.
Yeah, your units would increase, but it wouldn't.
But your effective
density
density
would-
on the back half would be 14, because you take 0 in the front half, and so you get almost 14 on the back half.
He's averaging it out.
Gotcha. I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
That
That
makes
meets the
sense.
spirit of the land use comprehensive plan.
Other comments, questions?
And I think the urban, I was the one that talked with Stantec out of Minneapolis, and I think there was a guy in Bismarck, but I really think that the urban designation was when you've got an existing city, and they're gonna tear down something and put something up that matches with what was up there before type thing. And maybe you're building in an area where you don't have a lot of room. And you want to make it work because the building isn't functioning in the community where it's at, and you want it, it's an old mill or something, and they want to tear it down and put up, something like that. I don't think that's the situation here that would make us go, yeah, let's go urban with that. That sounds a great idea. Let's tear down that old derelict building and put up this great, place where people can live, or the old factory or whatever. I just don't know if urban was intended for what you're looking at right here. Other people may have an opinion, but I guess that's where I'm at. I don't, from what I read with this, everything is going up to 14 per acre, 14 units per acre. There's not anything in the original, even urban was 14 units per acre. So if we were to open up the units per acre, I mean, I'm not sure that's what Horace is looking for, higher density right now. I don't know if that's really what the people are looking for is, hey, I'd like to see higher density here. I don't know. Certainly a developer might be looking for that, but,
Other questions?
I guess you say if the 7 units an acre doesn't pencil out, but you say 21 it does, where does 14 land?
I'd have to look at it. I don't have the answer right now. But, I mean, if you look at most, MR zoning districts that allow apartment uses, it usually hits around that 20-24. Is usually what you see. I mean, most of the time, once you get stormwater ponds, other apartments that we've done, they hit around 18, 19. do with 3 stories and with your landscaping, with your buffers, with your storm sewer, all that. That's about usually what you can hit, unless you have a unique situation like what Chad was mentioning, where you can get a PUD and they want it, and then you can throw 4 stories on there, then you can get more density. But typically, that's about what a typical like multifamily apartment residential.
And that's for that building itself, like, you could still have that, but it might not be over the whole area. And the other area would have lower costs. I don't know, just throwing out ideas for you. Where you can still have the higher density just in less of the area, if that makes sense. So let the building pencils out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, based on what you were saying, I mean, if it's all mixed use, then,
Mm-hmm.
and you keep it one lot, but then if you wanna sell it, then you get into some issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I visited the Beyond Shelter building in the former Kmart, or not in the Kmart, but where the,
Yeah,
they-
we know what you're saying.
sorry, I've been having a tough night tonight, so. And I thought it was absolutely incredible. I thought it was a great building. The residents love it. I think there was an activities area, and I thought, I was really impressed. I thought it was great. Something I think Horace would like to have. If we can make the numbers work, your numbers and our numbers, you know, I'm just saying, you know.
And I think that's the issue. I mean, we just experienced 8 weeks of complete pain with assessments. You know, everything costs more. The only way you can get it to work out is with the density. You know, just the cost of infrastructure, the cost of building a building. You need that to make it pencil out. And we ran into it. Ask Naomi, I was here at every meeting too. I mean, it was hell for 8 weeks of meetings on that. And it's because of the cost and inflation and all the other things. So that's why it makes it really hard to work at that 14 units. To where you're gonna lose, I mean, Beyond Shelter wouldn't be able to make the payment. I mean, they couldn't do it at that density. And that's the issue.
Are the specials applied by unit? I mean, I know that sometimes they're predictive of the future, but after you build, it's usually based on per unit, right?
What's that?
The specials.
No, I mean,
They're tied to the lot.
they're tied to lot. It's not per,
Mhm.
yeah, it's all tied to lot. So let's say County 17 gets redone, that in 5 or 10 years, that's just gonna go through that property.
You're saying that the specials would not change based on the density of that lot?
No, the specials are gonna be what the specials are for whatever the improvements of the road are.
It's based on the lot, it's based on the lot size. So
Yeah.
if it's a 10-acre lot versus 6-acre, that's where your difference in costs are, but multifamily would be that, this correlates with the acreage, not the density of the building.
So if it was mixed use, no matter the density, it would be the same specials? for
That's
the-
right now, that's,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how it's viewed right now, yeah, because otherwise it's really hard to predict out, how are you gonna predict out the density of a building
Mhm.
5 years from now
Mhm.
from a site or not, so that's
So
why we did
actually-
based on the acreage, and then they're kind of trying to average that out, so that you use the density, and then also there's that load factor component within our special assessment, so like multifamily has heavier weighting towards it than a single family home per se, or depending on how it's broken out.
So
I mean, I
you
get
got
like
a
before
deal
it's
on-
built, I get that, but I'm saying like after it's built, that doesn't change anything?
No. So
No,
he
it's
got a
not.
deal on his specials because they were assessed at mixed use and not urban.
They're the same.
Or they're the same.
They fall in the same category, but it's
Yeah.
different than a single family.
Yeah.
It's all under the same, all of these zoning districts, or those mixed
Load
use
factors.
have the same load factor, like 1776, Old Town, urban residential, it's all
they take on a bigger burden than single family.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's where it gets hard, because it just, you can't, make it work, and that's why you need, I know it's not, I know the people back there, especially Lonnie, but that's the, that's how it works with the way, or else, I mean, I don't know, these lots are just gonna continue to stay. Cause it just doesn't, none of it pencils out.
Is this a contingency with, beyond,
Yeah, this is the only
rezoning and stuff,
change is
that's
contingent on
contingency on sale.
the lot sale, yes, correct.
so you definitely wanna know what is and not allowed in urban residential
Well,
before,
yeah, I mean,
before we get into this.
We've been waiting on this since when everything kinda got rehashed in early June. We had this under contract about a week before that happened. So that's kinda where we're at. And that's why it's been delayed till now, because now we're finally getting some direction on these other districts.
Do we have the density issue nailed down now, that we know exactly what it is for urban residential?
It used to be 14, it looks like, was our guideline according to the comprehensive plan and the
So the-
documents that we had. But the new ordinance states up to.
So there was not an urban residential district in the old land
Mixed use
use
was that
ordinance,
Right,
mixed
so do we know?
to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
The
Yes, I
urban
should
right
say.
now is what?
The urban right now has a minimum lot size of 1,600 square feet per lot. That gives an implied maximum density of around 27, but it does not speak in terms of maximum densities in the ordinance.
Well, I think that's something Chris is gonna have to know going forward, what you're dealing with as far as density, if it's going to,
Well,
if it's feasible.
Well, that's what he's saying. If he goes to urban, his density could go up to
Right,
Yes.
maximum of
And that-
27.
To my knowledge, there isn't,
and that's correct, right?
yes, that is certain, because we have the minimum lot size, and you can simply divide the acreage by the minimum lot size. Of course, there's loss for stormwater facilities or what have
I
you,
just wanna
but,
be certain on what we're
Yes.
voting on. So
Right.
what we're
Yes.
voting on really is just a rezoning to urban residential, and right now the density is 27, or 20,
Right. So we're
About
basically you're changing the density from 14 to 27.
7.
Seven.
from 7.
Or
Seven.
from 7.
right, from, with the rezone,
Which-
from what
which-
it's on now
yeah.
to what it.
But with the way they've got it planned out right now, you're thinking they could get up to 14 units.
If they didn't have any residential on the front half,
Correct.
which is
Like-
the
like
plan.
what they've
it looks
got
like.
Planned
So then
right now.
it's
Right.
closer to effectively
Commercial
probably
on
like
the front
12,
half.
just because it's smaller in the front.
But
Small part.
then the issue, you couldn't sell that, and then that becomes, you couldn't replat it, and that becomes an issue. Because, the group we're working with, they don't do, retail. They would sell that to, commercial users, so then, and that messes all that up.
And the urban density originally was at 14, correct?
Correct.
As of 2019,
Or the
yeah.
Mixed use, yes.
So with what you were working with originally was always 14 then? Is that correct?
I would,
I would assume.
from the documents that we had, I would
Yeah.
say 14, yes.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why it's a little bit unclear, because it doesn't really say it specifically in the section, but if it's referencing to, but it doesn't specifically say in here a reference to it, so it's kind of,
But the staff notes do say we had a conversation about 14 units per acre. So it was discussed. And then just to give people an idea about density, the apartments behind us were how many per acre? Was that around 20?
20. I think about 19 in point of fact, but up to 20.
And that includes the garage? like,
Yes, that's the whole, it's a little over 9 acres, the whole
And
property.
that'd be about the same of what's going, or what's being proposed around the center.
And at the time that was done as a PUD.
Correct.
That's correct.
So if this was rezoned to urban hypothetically, and they came with a max, to the design review with a max plan up to 27 units per acre, do we have the right to reduce the density at that time?
Not if it meets the criteria.
Correct.
Well, I think what Chris is looking for is some certainty on this.
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
I mean, I'm not saying yay or nay on the rezone, I'm just saying that's what you need is
Well,
to find
certainly on
out
this
some.
property too, I mean, you know, we're finally got a little traction on it, and then it's just, yeah. And I understand everything has changed and, but, you know, we were always kind of, from when we started our master planning, is kind of what we presented to all the council before you guys, or the planning and zoning commission and the city council at the time, so.
Actually, I believe I was here.
You might have been.
So,
Might have been one of my first meetings.
But
So if we-
at that time were units per acre ever talked about?
Not until the future land use code, really. We didn't even have an avenue for really approving commercial development or apartments or anything.
Right.
It just wasn't something that we encountered. It was usually just residential at that time.
Yeah, it was kind of getting modified as it was, stuff was going.
so.
Right, we didn't have time to even,
So to maintain the density that you want, we would have to, change it to all urban residential and not have the commercial in there, so it would stay intact.
no.
No, the commercial would still remain,
Right, well, I mean,
yeah.
but for the formula, the land mass to allow the density that you want, couldn't be sold off.
It still could. I think where the confusion was is if we kept it as mixed use and we kept the commercial in the front and it was all one lot, then you could put the 14 units per acre on just the apartments, but we.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, and we don't want to,
The
client-
tenant doesn't want to do that.
they don't do commercial, so they don't wanna keep it, they wanna be able to.
They would
sell
have
it.
to find some other use
Yep,
for that,
exactly.
or develop commercial themselves.
They would sell it to have a commercial developer develop.
So is there an avenue to have like, this be like I don't know, like we have the Lost River First Edition, where this is like, the whole area is considered an addition or something, and you can still parcel it up and sell off the lots as long as the entire area maintains the, you know what I'm saying? Is that-
I think I know, kinda like you.
I think I know where you're going, but I don't
Kinda
think
like
it's
a shared
possible,
parking
right?
Concept.
Maybe,
where you have
I
the
don't know.
density kinda trickles over, but as long as this area meets it, not the parcel.
Yeah,
I believe the ordinance calls tied to the parcels, not to.
okay. So you
not-
can't,
Tied to the individual parcel, not the.
mhm.
I would imagine there's flexibility like that in a PUD, but I haven't had my feet to the fire yet, so.
Are there any other zoning districts that have a density around 20 units per acre that would work?
I don't believe so. Unless you did a PUD, there's not a alternative district for this.
I'm not comfortable with the 27 units per acre, just because once we make that change, we have no recourse to go back and reduce it. And maybe that's something we need to change in the urban zoning district first before we go forward with this. If we could table this, but then how long does it take us to change that in the zoning ordinance, the density? In the urban zoning district, at least how many weeks? And that doesn't help you out either.
I mean,
Well, I mean, if, I guess if you guys are supportive of kind of what we're doing and then what Beyond Shelter would be doing, we're okay with that. We just want to, I mean, need some sort of, just kind of work with us, and if that would, the 20 units per acre is something that you would want to do in urban residential, and it gets approved through, this commission and city council, I mean, we can work with that. If you guys are willing to work with us, I guess.
I guess 27 feels a little high for me,
Yeah,
so.
and there was also the setback issue too, right? Like,
Yeah, we have the setback issue
so the
with
setback
the-
doesn't feel right, the density's too high, it's just,
Well, and
We
you
have
would
issues.
Make those, you make all those amendments all at the same time to that district.
We would, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, that would be okay with us, I think, just as long as we can kind of keep this thing, keep it moving anyways.
I don't know if I'm even comfortable with 20 units per acre in an area that's already compact housing and that dense,
And that's the other conversation.
so.
So in this area with compact housing, what is the density that everyone is comfortable with? Ron has no opinion.
Well, I would hold the 14 units, like what we've had originally set.
Okay,
it's kind of where I'm at.
Chad?
Do you know what the density of the Beyond Shelter building next to your office is? Do you know what the density is there? That's 20, okay.
Yeah, like I said earlier, typically on a three-story apartment building similar to what is back here, what Dan does, and what we do, that's between that 18 to 20 is about usually where we end up landing once we get all of our things. And we've done lots of projects in, where it's 24 units per acre, and if you're capping it at 3 stories, which a lot of times that's what we do too, we don't want to go further dense, because once you have that extra story, there are different things that you gotta do to the building
How about-
to make that happen, so the cost.
Just throw one more dimension on it. How many minimum acres do you need to make it work? Because like, can you do 1 acre at 20 and it's good? Or like, how many acres do you need to make it work? Because I'm more worried about the density in the area, not necessarily in one small spot. If that makes sense.
So you're saying if you just had a 1 acre piece?
Yeah, how many buildings are you looking at putting in that area?
Oh, it'd be 3 is
Three.
what this intent, yeah. We gave you a.
Yeah.
We saw the 3 and the
rough
2,
plan.
so, yeah.
Yeah, it was either 2 or 3 is kind of the idea. I believe there were 39 flex units.
So if you did the 2, you would be meeting, you said 2 or 3. If it was 2, it would meet the 14 units an acre. If they're 40 each. Unless they're bigger, if there's 2.
I think those were bigger than, on those handouts they gave you last week, or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that's fine.
So out of curiosity, what is the density across the road to the east of this area per units per acre? Just to kind of get a rough sense for
The compact
area.
residential?
So the current CR allows, is between 10 and 11 units per acre. This was developed under the R6. calculated it in as built. The lots were slightly narrower, so my hunch is it's slightly higher than that, but it's gonna be pretty similar.
0.12. Maybe you know, isn't it your development?
It's still 4,000 square foot minimum, so it's gonna be very similar. I think 11 is a ballpark number for you. The old ordinance was 4,000 square feet per.
I was just looking at, like, one lot was a 0.12 acres, so that's about eight and a half units an acre.
All right, we need to make a decision.
And, I guess, you know, if you guys are looking at reevaluating, urban residential, we would just have to table it then.
Okay.
So I guess, yeah. It's kind of where that.
It's one of the options, is to
Um,
reevaluate urban residential, table this, hash out the density issues and the setback issues, and then review this at that time.
If urban residential was limited from the 27 where it's at, it might get used more. But at 27, I mean, it's like, you feel like you're taking a big, I just don't see, you know, I just don't see, I don't see us ever saying, yeah, let's do 27 here, you know?
Just so you know too, the 27 is not a standard, it's just because of the size of the parcel.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the maximum allowed.
It's the maximum allowed in this parcel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the.
Point being, I don't want this being confused as like that's the set
Just-
density for.
I think we're saying the
It's
same
so
thing, but
many-
it's the minimum area per unit.
Correct, and that was what, how many square feet?
1,600. Yeah.
So that's the minimum?
That's the minimum land area per unit that can be approved on the property.
What effectively caps the units per acre, though?
Yes.
27.
Yes.
Or whatever.
It's the max, yes.
And so if we wanted to change that, then we have to change the square footage numbers and do some math.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So if you ended up saying 2,000, just for instance, it'd get you like 21.7. So if you want to go to 2,500. That'd get you to like 17.4. But if you just move that, dwelling, or that square footage of dwelling units per acre.
So, what direction does everyone want to go?
Are we doing public comment on this, or no?
We're in public comment.
Yeah, I opened the public hearing.
Okay.
So
There's public comment on
I
this.
guess my ask is to table it if you guys are gonna reevaluate, and then come back up if somebody else wants to speak, but,
Okay.
so thank you for your time.
Okay.
Anyone else? Public comment is open. Lonnie, I knew you had something.
Of course I got something. Wish I could be here every night. For the record, Lonnie Wangen, resident of Horace. Yes, we have a big problem with this. I think with the workshops and overwhelmingly the residents of Horace have said, we don't want the density that we're seeing. Last time we had the workshop, there was 2 times as many compact residential than suburban already in Horace. So what we had as a community is already dwindling. I think the residents of Horace feel we're full. Okay, we don't need more density. Our schools are full, we're at capacity, there's a lot of issues in Horace. We need to put the brakes on a little bit. And I see the problem with the high density is most of the developers have gone from, you can do this to that, and they go to the most dense. Obviously, that makes sense, but that's why we have such a dense city right now. That's why the density has changed, why you guys have come back and said, wait, we gotta slow this down, we gotta cut it back. My real concern in that area is not just that we don't want 3 Mile Main Street, we don't want more commercial over there, and we don't want the larger buildings. There's really no green space. Everything's getting packed in, and now you're looking at apartment buildings into an already very dense area that doesn't have much for a park. It has that little area there by the pond. It's nothing like, and I keep bringing this back, this Lost River over here, where you have a mixture of different sizes and lots, and it feels more like a town than an urban center. This isn't just Lonnie, or especially Lonnie, you can say it's especially Lonnie, I like that, but this is coming from residents of Horace, especially those people in our neighborhood that have spoken up. I know this is supposedly changed for them, but when I moved into our house, we were told there was gonna be acre lots behind us, and that's changed too, and we're trying to compromise on that, so, we definitely don't have a need in Horace for this density. As to the project that's planned for affordable housing, addressing.
We're only talking about the rezone from
Okay,
mixed use
okay.
to urban.
So that's what was on the agenda, if we don't wanna talk about that, that's fine.
The addition is just called Beyond Shelter.
What's that?
The addition is just called Beyond Shelter.
Okay, sorry about that. Then go back to the same thing about the corridor. We wanted, I think overwhelmingly, you enter Horace, you see residential, and you see a nice town, not a bunch of businesses and apartment buildings as you drive through town. You shouldn't have to go looking for the suburban town of Horace. I'm gonna skip over all this stuff about, why we don't need an urban shelter here. And again, it goes down to those residents in the area. Already our roads are full, the schools are full, and what's this gonna do to the tax and specials? Is this gonna lead over, we're gonna have to put in roads, and those that are already having a very difficult time with their assessments and tax, and you get hit by something. Slowing the growth a little bit and let some of those people lick their wounds and keep their homes and try to build back up, I think is very important to us. The whole idea of compact residential at 27 homes per acre is not something we need. I don't think there's residents around who will want that. The zoning now is mixed use, up to 14. We still feel that's a lot. So I do appreciate your comments, I do appreciate your hard work on all this, and we fully support and just wanna make sure that, we remind you, that's not what Horace needs or wants, is higher density. We need to make a more welcoming community, place people come to live, not to stay for a while, rent an apartment for all we want. We want community partners coming in. With that, I had a lot more about the item that we're not supposed to talk about tonight, but I'd be more than willing to answer any questions or spend a half hour just.
Lonnie, you had sent an email to me saying that there was a problem with the city website?
Yeah, I couldn't find the emails for most of you. I have a lot of people who want to send you emails about this meeting tonight. I did send something in there too. I usually get the little message saying, hey, there's a hearing coming up. Friday, I got a message about a November 25th meeting. I didn't get a message on this one tonight. So I thought it was gone. Other people in the neighborhood told me it is on, but that text message didn't come through, and I just bring that up for your attention. I'm not waiting.
Yeah, well, I think Brenton's taking notes, right?
It got moved to Wednesday. I don't know if that screwed something up.
No, it wasn't even listed for Tuesday. I didn't get any message. Last one I got was for the 28th, and then this meeting, then the 25th. This one didn't come up to me. And then when I went on the website to click on your emails.
Mine and Mike's didn't work.
Well, yeah.
They're
they went
fixed
to somewhere
now.
else. You fixed that already? Okay, great. Yeah,
That,
'cause-
I didn't know about that.
yeah.
I didn't want your emails, Lonnie.
And I guess, then the conspiracies come out too. Why are they not telling us about this?
I honestly didn't know it
Honestly,
didn't work, so.
that looks bad, and that's why I shared it with you.
And I think with things stacking, if it was just one thing, okay, but when things start stacking up, it's like, hey, what's going on here, And we certainly don't want that we don't want that feeling that people are like saying, hey, what's going on here? We don't want that. So I guess I would just ask our liaison, Naomi. Yeah, okay. Naomi is obviously our city council person. We have no real authority here in the city, but Naomi does.
We just make a
Naomi does,
recommendation.
yeah.
So with the other project that we're not talking about tonight, will that have an open, hearing sometime in the future?
This is about the rezone. So if we rezone it from multi-use to urban, the project could go forward as an as-right use.
There's a design review though, is there not?
There is a design review for that, yes.
Okay,
Which
so we
focuses
wouldn't
on
have
how
that
the-
open to the public to come in here and do
I don't think
something?
those are usually open to the public, nope.
So we're not gonna have any ability? or
Because
chance
it would
to
be,
bring
it would be a use that they're entitled to if it's rezoned. It's a project that can move forward. It meets our ordinances, so they're,
You have the plat on here.
yes,
as
the
well
plat
to
is on
talk
here as
about,
well.
And there's a public hearing with the plat. So
Correct.
if they approve the rezone tonight, they're gonna talk about the plat, and then we would be able to talk about
All those things on your
all
paper.
of the things that you
Okay,
want.
all right. Sorry to jump the gun on that. Appreciate you guys, that's why you're here.
We love our
The-
jobs.
The,
Yeah,
just,
sure, yeah.
just to clarify, the hearings were opened at the same time, so the hearing for the one is the hearing for the other. The plat is simply dividing the lot and
Mixed use and commercial.
Into
So
The-
there is no really plan yet. I feel it's premature.
it's not a site plan that's being
Yeah, there's no
brought,
site plan.
but
So
Ye-
we don't have a plan, what they're basically saying is there's actually no, plat that's gonna show you apartment buildings yet. It's literally just gonna show the plat as in what you see.
The plats never show what building is going on. It's like a residential one just has the lots. And so
Right.
the plat is just two lots.
Because
That's all.
as a rezone and a replat, it doesn't necessarily mean that Beyond Shelter would even go in there. It could be somebody else too.
It could be
So,
twin homes
it
or
could
row
be-
houses.
right.
Projects can change before they're built.
So that's why that stuff is never, because we don't even know who the purchaser is at this point. Yes, we kind of do, but we don't usually have a guarantee that that's who the purchaser is. It's gonna go in there. That's why we have to evaluate the rezone and the plat on its own.
I was kind of under the understanding that the rezone was because of what wanted to go in there, and so I had questions on
Yeah.
what's the demand for that kind of facility and why is it here, so.
I mean,
I got-
you're partially correct.
Okay.
I mean, they're,
I like to be accurate.
they're requesting it, on behalf of the proposal that they have with their purchase agreement.
So I have a kind of question on the plat then. Given that there's no roads, does that mean that if they do build on this and they wanted to add like a public road between the commercial and
they would have to come back and.
they would have to replat it then at that
Yeah,
point? Or
they-
how would,
That north side has the access.
sure, I'm just
they-
thinking of like how the
And there's a
commercial
road
and the
next to it.
apartment buildings have a road between them.
They're gonna have private drives presumably
Okay.
with cross-access easements.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just assuming, I haven't seen anything to that effect, but that's typical.
It's
Um,
on the north side,
Okay.
the north side of lot two.
Yeah, but, I mean, they could hypothetically bring additional ones if they
Yeah.
wanted to. The road behind us is actually private, it's not a public road.
Okay, so there was no specials on that or anything, basically?
I'd
It
hate
says
to
it was
speak to
built by
that,
the
I
person.
haven't
You
looked
just
into
built
it.
On your own dime?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak. So with this property, there'd be no additional specials added anywhere, to
Mhm.
anybody. There'd be all the access points, any connections within the property would be paid
Mhm.
by whoever the owner is.
Mhm.
Whether it's a commercial owner, the apartment owner, whoever.
Mhm.
And just one clarification, there was a comment by Lonnie about parks. There actually is an 11-acre park that the park district currently has control of, they just haven't developed on it yet. It's on the north side of, Christensen, on the corner of Christensen, northeast corner of Christensen.
Is it on this map?
Boulevard, yep, and, well, that's an old map, so it's a little bit different, but it's have, and then they actually have another 1 acre, parcel, right up 66, that they haven't done any improvements on. So there will be a lot of additional green space.
Other questions? Thanks, Lonnie.
Okay, yeah, we'll just ask to not increase the density in the area. I appreciate your time.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Crystal Anderson, 28-year resident of Horace. Been around a while. We live back in the Sleepy Hollow area. I just wanted to tell you again, we always appreciate what you do. I know it's a lot of work and not always a lot of fun, but we just wanted to let you know that our feelings on this are that we do not want this rezoned into an urban. That is way too many lots on that 1 acre area. The density there that's already there has caused some traffic problems already. And now we're looking at even higher density. And I know when I was here, when we met together, we talked about what kinds of things we wanted as residents of Horace. And that was one of the things we did not want. We did not want those high levels right there by the road. So you had asked what our opinions were, and that night we were able to share them. And that was a big piece of this. So this goes directly against all those plans that we talked about together. Just wanted to share our opinion on it again. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Don't be shy.
Hi, my name is Sean Sandy. I'm a Horace resident also, and I just wanted to appreciate what you guys do, all the time you put in. But I did want to just additionally say that I'm against the higher density, so the urban residential seems too dense, and I'm concerned because, you know, we've got some main corridors that come into Horace here, and I think we should really be looking at what it looks like for our town. It seems like our town is developing from kind of Old Town and out, right? And there's a lot of land that's probably going to be developed, but it's not being, it seems like it's filling in closer. And there was some talk about how urban residential was maybe discussed at some point where maybe we border the city of Fargo and things like that. So like you got some main corridors coming in from east, west, north, south. I think the higher density stuff, if we are going to do it at all, should be located on the corners, you know, away from the thoroughfares and things like that. It would also provide for better transitions too. So right now we've got urban residential stacked up against the river here, and we're constantly moving into what's this development that's right back here again? We were just talking about tonight. I was looking at the
Southdale?
Southdale. And we've really struggled with transitions. We've talked a lot on other projects about transitions going from here to here. And every developer that wants to do something, they think that they can make this transition happen on their own property. Whereas really it's a bigger concept where you got different parts of town going from different types of areas to different types of areas. And I just think it's really incumbent on us as a community to plan that from a larger scale, rather than developers trying to say, well, I'm gonna make the transition from this type of an area to this type of an area on my land, and I'm gonna do it with landscaping. So I really like lately, you know, where we're going with everything. I just wanted to give you my 2 cents, but, you know, sticking urban residential right in between Southdale and suburban, along with the nice corridor coming into town that we could, you know, plan correctly, plan the other one correctly. I think if that stuff is gonna exist, it should be off in the corners, and it would ease up on the traffic on the thoroughfares and things like that. And if we limit it overall, it would really put less stress on all of the services that we have here. And I have one other question too. This is just, I don't have any idea, but do these school lines for West Fargo, between Fargo and Horace match up? I mean, does the school territory, does West Fargo schools ever involve, like in West Fargo, you have West Fargo, the school district goes beyond into Fargo, okay? And as we plan Horace up against Fargo, there used to be a real problem when West Fargo went out and annexed for the school, all of that area around the mall, they ended up with a really good revenue for the schools on the commercial side. But then what Fargo did is they put all their high-density housing in that area and made West Fargo school system responsible for, you know, for schooling all the people that were living there. And I think that caused a problem, and I think as we go forward, I don't know if there's any consideration like that Horace and Fargo that we have to do, but we probably want to see what's going on. And does anybody know if the boundary line is between Horace and Fargo also includes the West Fargo school district lines?
Yeah, from what I've been told is they move the line based on school population. So like this year, you could be going to this school, but next year, boy, the population of this school is too much, so they're gonna move the line. Is that correct?
No.
He's asking between the Fargo School District and the West Fargo School
Horace
District.
is West Fargo School
And
District.
we're West Fargo School
Oh,
District.
yeah, we are West
He's
Fargo.
like- Yeah,
But as far as what school you go to, they do move the lines.
That's just between
From
West
from year
Fargo
to
school
year.
districts.
Yeah, so.
so I believe he's talking about overall school district boundaries, not individual schools, but the school
Yeah.
district boundaries
Okay.
are not the same as city limit lines at all. So you could have, West Fargo Schools, my understanding, has their taxing jurisdiction. Some properties are in Fargo, some are in Horace, some are in Fargo, West Fargo. What they have for their tax base is their district, and it follows their boundary lines. It doesn't follow municipal at all. So does that answer what does that answer what you're looking for? Is they have their
Yeah,
own boundary lines, so.
It did answer it. I think I just
Yeah.
need to educate myself on maybe what's what, because I just think it's something that we should plan for, because we are planning for, when we plan density, it means the number of people and the number of services and schools that we need. And at the end of the day, if we don't plan it right, we could end up in a situation like what might have happened over with the West Fargo School District.
And I think the school district owns land in Southdale, right? This is still the school property on this map? Or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
They own 11-acre parcel, or 10 or 11, yeah.
Just north of the park on this plan.
Yeah, and that would mean we could build a new school and we could house that, but we gotta do it on our dime. So I mean, those are my comments. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, for like school district, building a new school would be through the school district. It would cost the school district. So residents all the way up in Harwood to West
Yeah.
Fargo, Horace would all be paying for school, just like Horace residents has helped pay for schools for years. Over in West Fargo it's that whole district boundary. So, yeah, it isn't just on Horace's shoulders. It'd be on anybody within that district. Is my understanding. Yeah.
Thanks, Brent.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Hi, committee. My name is Autumn Harland. I'm a resident in Horace, and just hearing the conversation that you all have shared here tonight, it seems like there's a disparity about the direction and the density about what this impactfully could have within Horace and where we all lie in understanding the density of what comes. But I'm also hearing that this would be the first urban residential plat approved in our community. And I'm not so sure it's something that it will open up the door of a lot of other things developmentally within the community that I don't think we're ready for. Because what comes with that is additional services, the public services, the public transport, the police, the fire, accessibility. We're a bedroom community where people come to live and be quiet and enjoy life. when you start looking at what comes with the urban density of population, what impact will that have on our community overall, and what's the paycheck that's gonna come back to all the residents that afford that, in the density component in itself? Especially when there's such a magnifying glass on Horace about the current costs of all the things that are being pushed out to the residents to face and manage and try to survive and hold on to what they have. I just don't feel that your urban residential footprint is gonna be a good thing without some pretty significant hits to us as a community, because it's gonna set precedents for something we're not prepared for. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone up here have questions?
So, I mean, there's been talk about the taxes and everything. Just doing some math here. Seems like the specials per acre for the compact and the mixed use are the same. At least for like citywide specials, like the roundabout, it was $33 an acre. So, is there really a difference with specials on a mixed use?
That was before load factor, and the roundabout, for example, was done before we had a special assessment policy account for load factoring and things like that. So, it was done before policy was in place. So you're referring to the roundabout 76, that was done before policy.
Mhm. So it was just applied per acre regardless of
Back
the.
then, most likely, but like I said, what we have now is not what we used back then for special assessment. So it's hard to use that as a comparison. It was a citywide assessment, and it was done, I believe more acreage wise than anything per area. Not the load factor component. And on a sewer project, the load factor component is also less significant than a street project, for example. Street has a different load factor.
When I think all the services are to this property, so there probably wouldn't be any
Yeah.
additional specials anyway. All the
The-
investments have already been made.
The infrastructure has already been invested in there, special assessments have already been accounted for.
And they were all based on a flat acre
Well,
rate.
You had infrastructure, local development, or local improvements, and, regional, really, all that stuff is already put in for, the site already has a lot of that. If there's additional need for something beyond what's there, that is undetermined because we don't have a site plan in front of us, but, we've already accounted for sewer there, or there's already an infrastructure present for it, the connection points there.
Yeah, basically what I was saying is like, I mean, there's a pretty sweet deal on the specials on that lot right now. It's like a fraction of the cost of what the houses are paying. That's what I was saying. So, I don't know, there's an argument about it needing the specials to be lower by having more units, and it doesn't pencil out for at least the current specials.
If you're are you looking at the Cass County, that also doesn't account for the regional projects that have just recently been certified as well. Those won't go on until, are they on right now?
They're to the county, so.
But they're not on the county.
I don't think they're
Towards the
posted
end
yet,
of the
have
year.
they?
There is other specials being applied to these lots.
That just got certified a couple
Yeah, I
weeks
think
ago.
it was
They-
500,000 on that,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
on that lot, that's gonna be, assessed.
Mhm.
I think it ended up being 61, well, I can't remember what the final number was,
Mm-hmm.
because the numbers kind of adjusted, but at one point it was around 61 cents a square foot.
Plus they have 64th Avenue next year.
Plus there'll be additional ones too for regional.
Okay.
Because I think the way the policy reads, half a mile, each direction on arterial, and then a half mile each direction on a collector road. Is what property will be. And then also a half mile on a collector and arterial, both directions, basically. So I guess I'm asking to table this, and if there's further discussions on changing other districts, it sounds like, the density is an issue, so maybe urban residential changes to something kind of in the middle between these other three zoning districts that have the higher density, like 1776, Old Town, and what's the other one?
And I think the thing is, Chris, I think if you guys would have come out right away and said, hey, we need more density, we want to go to 20 right away, but instead, I mean, you were like this downed pilot that we had to interrogate, you know what I mean? And so I don't feel like, feel like we had that trust going, and that's why, okay.
Oh, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine, you can cut me off.
I just wanna say, part of it is because we're just doing it, like, well, this isn't our development, we're just doing this part of the lot sale. So that's kinda, so sorry to cut you off, but that's why 2 weeks ago, there was a disconnect a little bit between the two parties, because we're not the architects, we're not the designers on it, and I think there's a little bit of a disconnect, which.
Why we couldn't figure out why you wanted to go to urban, yeah.
Yep.
And then we figured it out.
And that's why it was. 'cause-
And we figured it out, and that's why these people are here,
Yep.
right? Yep, so that,
So.
pretty simple.
And that was
Yep.
part of it, so.
Okay.
So
So you understand why,
We weren't trying to hide anything, it was just.
but you understand why there's, okay, so you understand. If you weren't being frank with us and forward with us, and there's an option for you to go to 27, what would stop you other than your word? And if your word was, we have to interrogate you to get you to tell us everything, it becomes a trust issue. And then we have to ensure that our trust is backed up by ordinance. I don't know why you don't see that. I see it. Does anybody else here see it? I mean, I don't know what to tell you. So I don't want to go off on you, but you act like you don't understand where this is coming from. You act like you're just completely, what happened there? You're like the cat that swallowed the canary to me, and I don't know any other way to put it.
That's not how it was.
But I am being,
You can think that all you want,
and-
that's not what.
but I visited the place. I in good faith. I think it's a great place. But you just have to understand when you're not frank and upfront with us, and we have to have the inquisition. And when we find things out, then that's,
Yeah,
we
and
don't have
I
that
think we were trying to hide anything from you.
okay.
So, because we said from the beginning, it's gonna be very similar, different, but similar to what was done back here.
Okay.
From the get-go. So, I think it was just, not knowing exactly, and then after the meeting, I started looking into it, and I found it right away. So it was my ignorance of not knowing exactly what the current, and this is the first time I've really used code too.
Okay, so you understand.
So that's it. So we weren't trying to hide anything, is what I'm kind of getting at.
Okay, so moving on, not to cut anybody off, but we need to decide what we're gonna do, if we're gonna table this and look at urban.
We have no urban zones right now,
No, we do not.
so we're gonna have to look at urban eventually.
It needs to get done in an,
But right now, we're looking at a rezone.
right, but we could table this rezone, look at urban, and he's willing
And
to
then we
wait,
come back.
and then come back
But then we'd have to decide at that point if we want that density
in this area,
in that
right?
area.
Right, and that's, that's the question of why we would come back is because, I'm sorry, why we would come back is because our name is planning and zoning, the zoning should come with some planning, and that we want to plan where the compact residential would be. Or the urban, yeah,
Yep.
residential would be, and I think we need to sit down and think about that real hard.
And it depends on where you land on that, and we just wanna keep our, application in, and then we'll see where it lands, and then
Sure.
we'll see what we wanna do at that point, too.
You're fine with that?
Yeah, for now, I mean, yeah, we want to table it, and then we'll have further discussion and, go
Right.
from there.
But even if we lowered the urban number, there's not a guarantee that we're gonna rezone it to urban.
Right.
Exactly.
So, just so you understand that, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you might end up landing at 16 units per acre, and then it will be up to us to decide, hey, can this work for us? And then we'll, at that point, continue and ask for that, depending on where the urban lands, or we will, pull it. And it'll be our decision.
Well, regardless, we have to go through the urban density. We're gonna have to decide.
Right, either way, we
we're-
need to go through
We
urban.
need to go through the urban
It-
density. If you're willing to leave it on there till that time, that's fine, but again, there's no guarantee that we'll change the zoning to urban versus the mixed use.
Yeah, no commitment at this time, but.
Right, and I
We
think
wanna
you're
look
fine
at
with
it.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fine with that. He understands that, so.
Do you want to close the public hearing?
No, if we table it, we
Oh,
can leave the
okay,
public
okay.
hearing open. Because
Yeah.
if we close it, then we can't well, we could reopen it, but
Okay.
it's messy.
Yeah, but it's
Right, Lucas?
Ready for a motion? or-
We want to leave the public hearing open if we table it again?
It's up to you as the chair. I mean, you've had comments for 2 meetings now.
Well, if we redo the urban district and leave
That
this
would have
open,
its own-
it would have its own public hearing then?
The urban would, as a ordinance change, so that would have its own public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a change to Title IV, so that has a public hearing with the planning commission and the city council.
Right, but then to review his application with the new changes,
Yeah,
could we
that's what I'm
reopen
saying,
the
it's up
public
to you.
hearing?
You've had to,
Well, I think we'll just leave it open, so,
You close it, and then you have to reopen it probably anyways, because.
right, we'll
like
just leave it open.
Doug said, I mean, it's not a guarantee, but.
All right, I move to table the Beyond Shelter first edition public, or rezone and plat and leave the public hearing open.
Now second that.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. And then as part of that, I would like to direct city staff at our next meeting to have us start working on the urban residential district.
Is there a consensus on a target density you're looking for?
As a target what?
A target density?
I think those are discussions we have to have at our next meeting.
Okay, understood.
We're starting from scratch.
Okay.
And setbacks, we have to look at density setbacks.
Between 7 and 27.
Yeah, between 7 and 27 would be great.
Hey, that's a start.
No, but
All right.
It's a start, right?
I think that we should find out what the practical densities are that's needed. It doesn't make any difference if we change it and then it's either way too dense or, slightly under what's usable for developers. So we
If-
want to find out the right spot.
Nathaniel? No, sorry. Could you look at some developments and just get kind of units
Yeah,
per acre?
yeah.
To kind of give us an idea of pictures of what they look like?
Exactly.
And units per acre, because we're more visual people. Like the one back here was 20,
Yep.
right?
I'll just give you screen grabs with calculator.
Perfect, that'd be great.
Yep.
And if you guys haven't visited the Beyond Shelter over in South Fargo on University, I would definitely recommend visiting. They gave you a great tour. I think give you a little bit more information.
Did they give you cookies? No, I'm just
I don't think there was cookies,
I'm just kidding.
but it was available to people 55 and up, so.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. No, they would never let me in now, so, no.
Was there anything else on the urban district we specifically wanted Nathaniel to look at for us?
What's that?
Anything specific on the urban district that we wanted Nathaniel to focus on besides density between 7 and 27?
The
Some-
setbacks too, remember, that was the other issue.
Yeah, setbacks is an issue on urban, because it has that minimum and maximum.
Right.
So if we could get some ideas of like how far this is.
Okay.
I think just getting some visuals and
Yeah.
some measurements on
Can do.
mapping with Google
Okay.
Earth, whatever you use, ARC.
So,
Anything else?
we do at some time need to, take a hard look at our future land use map.
Yes, we also
And we are
need
gonna
to-
have to make some changes. So,
I think this is the most recent one.
yeah. So I don't know when we think we can do that.
Why don't we
Yes.
put it on the next meeting agenda? What do we have for the next agenda?
I have a variance request. I think it's for the next one. I'll double check the notice that got sent out. I think that's all I've got. I mean,
Okay.
excluding
Why don't you add it to
Yes.
the next agenda? If we don't have time, we don't have time.
You have a variance.
Just as a workshop.
for the next one, yeah.
Will that work?
Yep,
Then it's at least on our radar.
yep.
So, is that, we suppose, is that the
It was
urban
just down
residential?
Right here.
That's right there.
That's the only place. we
That's
put
it. And we talked about.
Was there
other
any other
spots
announcements?
possibly being-
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, that's right, we put that on there.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. I'll second. Meeting adjourned.
We talked about doing it on the outskirts only.
Stop talking. Check, 1, 2, check.
My wife did college, but she had to get.
It's still, I don't know, man, I'm so confused about the specials. Because it was actually a million, because he was off by a factor of 2.
I was
But
tired and I
still, if you look at like how much a house paid, they paid twice as much per acre.
Because it was developed.
I don't know, that's what I'm trying to, I don't get it.
I know.